Right. It is 10. In the interest of time, why don't we get things started? We are recording today, so if you happen to join us late or miss anything, that will be sent out at the end. Either way, my name is Jasper. I'm from SCORE, Maine. I'm joined by Laura Robeson, who is a marketing expert and putting on a presentation on email marketing for your business. Um, if you didn't know about SCORE, we're a no-cost business mentoring program with workshops spanning many topics, as well as one-on-one business mentoring available for you. You can find a mentor if you don't have one already at score.org. And Laura, why don't you take it away?
Okay, great. Yeah, thank you all for being here today. Um, I'm going to share my screen and we'll kind of just dive right in. This tends to be a pretty meaty topic for me. Let me see. Let me make sure I'm sharing my screen. Jasper, are you seeing my screen here?
Yeah, it looks good.
Perfect. Okay. So yeah, I've been in email marketing for a long time. Sometimes it's been my primary like job function. Sometimes it's just a channel that I use in different marketing roles. So I kind of, have a lot of different use cases that I can draw from. So, I'll try to pause periodically and give the opportunity for questions because really, obviously, this is meant to be a useful time for you, a useful training. So pipe in with questions, and I think that'll make the experience, really valuable for the whole group of attendees. And really, this is kind of how we'll go through today's session. Again, please raise your hand for any questions. Jasper's here as well. Sometimes I kind of am looking at my slides and I'm in my, zone of what I'm talking about. He is able to kind of monitor chat and surface the opportunity for questions where it's relevant. So feel free to keep that chat going as well. We'll talk through why we're prioritizing email marketing. I'm sure you all have kind of a general understanding of what you're hoping to do with email marketing or questions you want answered. What a comprehensive email marketing strategy looks like what could it look like if you had your full email marketing strategy in place. And that's not meant to overwhelm, but more just to kind of give you a starting point based on where you are and what you already have in place. How to measure success, how email supports the rest of your marketing efforts, because as you know, email marketing is just one channel. You're probably all on social and you might be running ads and you have a website and you're doing lots of things. So this is meant to clarify, how does email work alongside the other things that you're doing? And then strategies to build an email list, because sometimes if you're starting from scratch, it can be hard to figure out how do I get that list in the first place and have someone to talk to. A little bit about me. Almost my whole career has been in marketing, and I've worked in lots of different industries, lots of different company sizes. So I've worked for really small companies, startups, and then all the way to large corporations like Indeed. And I do have my own consulting and freelance offering as well. But hopefully this allows you just to kind of start to pull together like coming at email marketing or any type of marketing from a lot of different industries. You start to see things that always work or usually work. And I want you just to kind of have confidence that you can ask me any question. And if I'm not sure what the answer is, I might know someone who does. And I'd be happy to kind of pull in anyone from my network to help you out with what you're trying to do with your audience. So just to start at the baseline, marketers for a very long time, I'm talking decades, have agreed on this rule of seven, where customers need to interact with your brand at least 7 times before they're ready to make a purchase decision. But as you can imagine, now with like everybody that including yourself, you're kind of bombarded with marketing messages from every time you open your phone, every time you open your computer, in your inbox, in your social feed, on the radio, like podcasts. You're being bombarded with messages all the time. So marketers now assume that it's way higher than 7. Some people think it's more like 10 touch points in order to get someone. First of all, you just have to build brand recognition, and then you have to, someone has to hear your message and your brand and the value that you offer multiple times, 10, 20, whatever it might be, before they're ready to make a purchase decision because of all the messages that they're receiving and all that's going on in our lives. It's a busy landscape, and so don't be discouraged if whatever marketing you're doing, you're getting some likes or you're getting some email clicks or you're getting some traffic to your website, but it's not turning into sales right away. It really does take a long time for someone to build up enough of a recognition with your company or your brand and what you even do before they're even ready to start considering a purchase decision. And that's not because you're doing anything wrong, but because of the landscape that you're playing in. The reason that email marketing is an important piece of your whole marketing approach is that it allows you to have a little bit more control over how you communicate with your audience. It's relatively cost effective. Ads can get really expensive. Usually, an email service like MailChimp or whatever you might be using, $20, $30 a month, whether you have 10 subscribers or 500 subscribers. Obviously, as you get into the thousands, that fee may go up, but it's a relatively cost efficient way to communicate with your audience, and it also allows you to have a lot of control about what you're sending, when you're sending. And that's not to say that there isn't a lot of competition in the email inbox. As you know, your inbox is quite busy, but it does allow you to communicate on your own terms without having to rely on, say, the social algorithm and what they decide to present to your audience or not. So it's an important piece of the puzzle, and the graphic here that I'm showing, hopefully it kind of helps you to understand like what you're really doing out there when you post on social and when you write a new blog post and you're running ads, and you might be posting on YouTube or all the channels that you're on, you're sponsoring different things in your community. Like you're really trying to achieve some of those touch points and draw people in. And when you capture someone's email address, then you can kind of dictate what that journey looks like, what that path looks like, what you send them. And you have the opportunity to really capture that audience's attention because they've heard about you a couple times. Maybe they went to something where you sponsored it, or they heard an ad, or they saw your video online. If you can kind of think about this as a journey, you're trying to create awareness, but then you're trying to draw them in and capture an email address. Because again, they're not going to be ready to purchase the first or second time they hear about your business name. But if you have kind of a compelling message or some compelling content out there, they may come to your website and opt into receiving more emails from you. And then you can nurture them down the path toward hopefully converting to becoming a customer. So this visual hopefully gives you just a framework to think about what you're doing, because it can feel like just a lot of activities that you're doing, right? You're posting and you're commenting and then you're sharing and then you're tagging and it can feel like a lot. So try to think of this as a journey. You're trying to go out there broad, cast that wide net, try to get the attention of the people that really are your ideal customers, but you want to draw them in and at a certain point capture their email address, and then continue them down toward purchasing. And again, I know I've talked about this a little bit, but if you were to achieve those 7 to 10 touch points solely using organic social, like that's all you were doing, you can do it, but you're heavily reliant on the social media algorithms and their trends and the volume of content. You would have to be posting every day, sometimes multiple times a day, and it can work. If you decided, I don't want to do email, I don't want to run ads, I just want to post on, TikTok, and that's my thing, that's fine. But you really need to know that platform inside and out. You really need to know what are the trends. Are people tagging things? Are there trending audio? You'd have to really know that platform like it's your part-time job in order to get enough repeat views on your brand. Again, 7 to 10 touch points at minimum. So it can be, I have a feeling that none of you have the time to, spend dozens of hours a week on any given platform. It's a piece of what you're doing, but you don't want to rely solely on organic social. Paid ads, if you were going to rely solely on paid ads to get 7 to 10 touch points, you have to have a very healthy ad budget. Sponsorships, the same. Radio promotion, the same. You'd have to really be saturating your market with messages about what you do and who you are. Content creation, like if you were going to post, videos or blogs and that was going to be your main channel, you'd have to really master SEO, search engine optimization, so that you were, you know, anytime someone searched a relevant term on Google, they were finding your content. And email marketing, if you were only using email marketing, the thing there is that you have to have a solid strategy, and you have to have, obviously there's consistent monthly spend on email software. So I'm trying to just kind of paint a picture of how these could all work together, rather than picking one channel, and trying to achieve those 7 to 10 touch points with that one channel.
Yeah, this is a good point to chime in here. Harry has a good point. Does all social media count as a touch point, or is a YouTube video, a LinkedIn post, Twitter post, or Facebook count as their own separate ones, would you say?
Well, what I mean by touch point is anytime someone is seeing, like presented with your content. So, like, yeah, if they see an ad from you on Instagram and then they see your video on YouTube and then they receive an email from you, all those would be, 3 different touch points. So, it used to be when really people were interacting with, their newspaper and then seeing some billboards on their way to work, and then, seeing some ads during the evening news, like you kind of had a chance to have more meaningful touch points because people weren't as bombarded with ads all day long. Whereas now, because, from the minute you open your phone until, you're watching something at night, like true, I don't know what the stats are, but probably the average person is presented with hundreds of ads a day. So yeah, every time someone is seeing your content on any platform, that does count as a touch point. And, there's a lot of thinking behind how do you make those touch points really meaningful and have strong brand recognition. That's kind of a conversation for a different day. But yeah, across any channel, if they're seeing your message and associating that with your brand, and making that connection, oh, okay, I've seen them before, I've seen their message before. Like that's kind of what we think about as a touch point.
Hmm. I also did want to just let you know you do have a little bit of audio scratching going on. We saw in the
Oh,
chat that it's happening. I'm not sure if you have like a lapel mic that you're hitting or something, but just wanted to
no.
let you know.
Okay, I don't really have another audio solution, so I'm
No
sorry to hear
worries.
that. I'll try to kind of speak up. Yeah, I'm just using the audio, the mic within my laptop. So
I
I'll
hear
try
you.
to speak up, and apologies for that, guys.
All right, no worries.
Okay. Um, Another point on social, and I just want to kind of, well, I'll kind of leave the conversation here, but you don't own your social following, and I'm sure some of you have experienced that you may have 600 followers on social media, and you post a new piece of content, and you look at your stats behind the scenes, and it's only seen by 100 people. And that can be frustrating. The social algorithms are not presenting all of your content to all of your followers, because they're looking for other things like engagement and sharing, and time spent watching your video or whatever it might be. So even if you have a bunch of followers, you can't take that list with you. You can't take that list of Instagram followers and then email them, or like you kind of are at the whim of the social like platform that you're on. Email list is different. I want you to think about your email list as a business asset. Because if you decided to move from MailChimp to Constant Contact, you can take that email list with you. And those are people who have opted in to receiving messages from you. And it just allows you to have a little bit more control over the universe of people who are hearing from you. So, I think that's the importance of not just building up a social following, which is valuable as well, but also making sure that you're prioritizing your email list, because it's a business asset that can stay with you, and continue to provide value for you over the life of your business. Okay, so I know there's a lot here. This is kind of what a comprehensive email marketing strategy could look like. And I don't want you to get overwhelmed by this. I'll kind of walk through. But if you think of your marketing in terms of what am I doing for leads, those people that just opted in with an email address and I don't know anything else about them, or they signed up at my booth at an event and I have their name and email address. Their leads, how do I talk to them? That's totally different than how do you talk to your customers, people who have already purchased or subscribed or whatever your business model is. And then how do I create loyalty and use my current customers to kind of get referrals? So think about this in three different ways. Your lead marketing, you kind of have a lead magnet. We'll talk a little bit more about what a lead magnet could be, but like I'm saying, like you go out and broad with your content or your messaging, you're sponsoring things, you're running ads. You want to capture email addresses so that you now own that email address in your database. And usually you do that by offering something of value in exchange for an email address. And then you want to nurture those leads. So you tell a little bit about your story in terms of how it benefits, your audience. Perhaps you answer some common questions or objections. Perhaps you have an email featuring a happy customer and how your business really helped them solve a problem or meet a need. Perhaps you have some educational content like a video or how to, or allow people to really understand what it would be like to be a customer. And then go for a straight ask of like make a purchase or talk to sales or have a free consultation. So think about this early stage as your introduction to this brand new lead. This, and they may have had some touch points, they may have some brand recognition, but this is your opportunity to really nurture them. You want to be creating trust, building on that brand recognition and helping them to understand that whatever problem that you solve for or need that you solve for can be alleviated if they purchase from you or subscribe or whatever your offering is. Once they've converted, that's kind of the hope, then you can continue down to customer marketing, but they may not convert right away, right? I mean, that makes a lot of sense. I'm on a lot of email lists that I'm interested in the company, but I'm not quite ready to purchase or not quite sure I want to purchase, or maybe the need that they solve for is something that's not pressing right now, but they're kind of in my orbit, like I'm aware of them. You want to make sure that every touch point is continuing to kind of add value, help someone just, first of all, continue to see your name in their inbox, while also giving them opportunities to learn more, discover more, and hopefully build some anticipation for them, like wanting to purchase. So you can have that continued lead engagement, and just kind of, yeah, continue to create more touch points so that they don't forget that you exist. Because really, how many times have you signed up for an email list? The first few times it's not very compelling. You kind of see them in your inbox, you open an email and you're like, yeah, I don't know, that whatever, you kind of dismiss it. After a while, even if they continue to email you, like if you haven't seen value and you haven't seen a reason to pay attention, then you kind of just ignore them and forget that they exist. So you want to make valuable touch points that help someone, if they are your ideal customer, help them to be able to take that next step with you, whether that's, calling you for a consultation or talking with sales or making a purchase. Once they become a customer, you really want to make this a big deal. I would consider this another nurturing opportunity or nurturing step, because just because someone has purchased from you, it doesn't mean they're not going to, return the item or, have negative feelings. If there's an item being shipped and they're waiting for it and they feel like it's taken too long, like you're kind of losing trust before they ever really get the benefits that you've promised them. So you want to like really set them up for success. Think about that, the first time someone makes a purchase, you really want to like roll out the welcome mat. Like, we're so glad you're here. And then if you're really like, if you've been in business a while and you know what your best customers, need from you and what your best customers tell you in terms of like what really made the difference for them. Make sure you build that into your new customer onboarding journey. If there is something being shipped, make sure that you're telling them what to expect and building anticipation. Like, okay, you'll receive your product in 3 days. Like in the meantime, watch this quick video about, how to get started. Or if it's a service that they've purchased, like make sure that you know or they know that you're really excited to work with them. Here's what they can expect from you. If they have any questions before, whatever it is, a service being received, make sure that they know how to reach out to you. So really think about this as like you're trying to just like do a great big bear hug of like, so glad you're here. This is how, my new customer can be most successful with me. Because you don't want to lose them. You don't want to stop talking to them after they purchase. I think we've probably all had experiences where you purchase from someone and then it's crickets and you don't receive a confirmation email and no one ever reaches out to you and you're kind of like, so what now? You don't want to have that experience for your customers. After, new customer onboarding and you've kind of welcomed them, you want to continue to engage in a meaningful way. You can offer support. Again, the better you know your audience, the more you can design email touch points that help to keep them around, keep them loyal, purchasing again, or having that repeat customer experience. Gather feedback from them so that if you're kind of losing people at a certain point, you have an opportunity to learn that and know what's going wrong. Of course, you can upsell them, you address problem areas. So this customer marketing piece, the important thing here is that you're really, again, like getting to know your new customers and making sure you understand what's the difference between a customer who only purchases once versus a customer who is, purchasing from me repeatedly and they become loyal. Like, what is the difference there? It may be that one customer is more ideal for what you offer than another, and that's fair. You want to really define who is that ideal customer, but it might be something about their experience and something that you can do better to help make sure that they feel welcome, that they feel supported in whatever they purchased from you, and so that they do feel like they want to come back, because it's so much cheaper to keep a customer than it is to go find a new one. So those customers that you have, that's a really valuable opportunity for you to, have repeat loyal customers that can kind of keep your business afloat. The last thing I'll talk about is here, and then we'll do another pause for questions. In order to, create loyalty and, create a referral program that really is incentivizing your customers to refer you, you do have to have that deep customer knowledge that you can draw from and really understand what can I offer those customers that is really meaningful. So I'll give you an example I heard on a podcast and I love it, and I use this example a lot. There was this high-end contractor, a building contractor, and they were building homes for very wealthy people. That was their target audience. And they offered a $1,000 referral reward for any customer that referred them to a new customer, who did business with them. And they were finding that because these customers were kind of more wealthy and affluent, like $1,000 wasn't really that meaningful to them, right? To the contractor, they're like, okay, we're really shelling out $1,000. Like, we want them to know this is important to us. To the customer, though, $1,000 wasn't a big deal. A lot of times they would just tell the business, like, okay, donate it somewhere, or whatever. It wasn't really motivating to them. But because they understood their customer and kind of did some deep digging about like what really is meaningful that we could offer to get more referrals, they rolled out a program of, if you gave a referral, you got a contractor for a day, which cost the business less. But think of your own home and how many opportunities you could like use a contractor for the day to fix. Like, you might have some some trim around a doorway that needs to get replaced, or you might have a stair that, like is always squeaky every time you step on it, or you might just need your gutters replaced. Like simple jobs that kind of annoy you every single day. Like that turned out to be a huge success because those customers didn't really want $1,000, but they were really motivated by, getting a contractor for the day to get all those tiny little projects taken care of. So that's just a kind of a cool example I keep coming back to because you know your customers, or you have the opportunity to know your customers in a way that no one else does. There may be something that doesn't really cost you that much that's really valuable for your customers that you can offer in terms of, getting referrals. So, otherwise, like you can collect testimonials and case studies from those most loyal customers. I know for brands that I really am loyal to and I use their products over and over again, like I'm more than willing to give them positive feedback. So ask your loyal customers, hey, can you give me a testimonial, or, can you give me permission to use, the feedback that you gave me on some of my ads? Like, I'm sure they'll say yes. And then, just, yeah, you can even create like customer advisory boards if that's appropriate for your business. Offer them early access to new products or services, call them beta testers or whatever it might be. The more you know your customers and the people that you serve the best, the more you can design communications and programs that really resonate with them. So as promised, I'm going to take a sip of water and then I'm going to open it up to questions.
Yeah, we got a few here, so good time for it. Starting off, another one from Harry. Are all newsletters the same as email marketing?
That is such a good question. I have thoughts about this. Okay. So what I strongly believe is that, okay, I don't know the stats exactly, but the average person looks at an email for, I can't remember the number of seconds, definitely less than 10, like 5 to 7 seconds max, because no one's actually reading it. They're just scanning it. So in general, with your email touch points, you want to be very clear about what you're asking them to do, because no one reads email because they're bored. They're scanning their inbox just to see, is there anything I need to pay attention to? Is there anything compelling here that, makes me curious or want to open up and read more? So in general, with email marketing touch points, you do want to keep it very clear with one primary call to action. What do you want them to do? Do you want them to click through and read a blog? Do you want them to make a purchase? Do you want them to, give you feedback? Have one kind of primary goal for each email. So that's what I'll say about email marketing in general. But I hear a lot of companies really love to have their newsletters because they want to have a forum where they can, tell people about what's going on, especially small businesses. Like if you have people in your community or in your customer base that are kind of rooting for you behind the scenes, like it makes sense to have a newsletter, that shares like, hey, we're opening a new location, or I have a new product, or, here's where we're going to be next. If you want to, if you would do trade shows or whatever it might be. So I would say, think of newsletters differently. If you want to create a newsletter, which again is often like a longer content piece, it's more time for you, a bigger time investment to create a newsletter. If it's important to you, if you're getting value out of it and good engagement, go ahead and continue. But I kind of think of most email marketing touch points and newsletters in two different buckets. So again, just make sure it's worth your time. And if it's not worth your audience's time to read, it's not worth your time to write. But if it is an important touch point for you to kind of share what's going on in your business, yeah, feel free to do it. Just kind of understand that like it's maybe a different vehicle than a regular marketing touch point.
Absolutely. We have Amber asking, what do you suggest to keep content fresh so your email marketing doesn't feel repetitive to those who've been subscribed for a while?
Mm. Um, That's a good question. One thing I like to say is that any content you're creating, please make sure you're getting as many miles out of it as you can, because creating content takes a long time. So if you are creating, say, a 90-second reel for Instagram or Facebook, you know, don't like make sure you're taking that video content. You might want to take a little, screenshot of it, and then, put it in an email where someone can click through and see the full video. But then, use that content that you talk about in the video, and you can talk about it in the email. So I guess what I'm thinking of is if there's a common question that people ask you all the time, and you want to, kind of like address that. You can create a blog post about it. You can then, take that blog and shorten it up to an email. You can take that content, create a reel. You can add a Q&A section to your website. So any content you're creating, use it across all platforms. I promise you, no one is watching you that closely that they're going to notice. Like, no one's going to care that you post a video and send an email about the same thing. So I would say, like, whatever you're hearing from people, either objections or questions, or depending on your business, like what you're hearing in the industry. I mean, it's hard, but I would say, like, don't feel like you need to have long form content every time you email. It can just be a thought or an idea, a stat. Hey, 12% of my customers are XYZ, like whatever it might be. It's just a touch point to kind of keep people like seeing you in their inbox and seeing that when you email, there's value there, or there's an interesting idea, or it's worth their time to look at. But it does help to have content pillars. So, like, what do you generally talk about across all, on your website, on social platforms, in email? What do I talk about? Make your life a little bit easier. What I mean by content pillar is kind of like a general category of things, of content that you post, so that you can say, all right, I want to post, my thoughts on the industry, once a month, once on social media, maybe put something on my website and send an email about it. 3 times a month, I want to, share insights into my product or services that, are competitive advantages over the other companies that do what I do, so that people, think about what are the content types or content pillars that you want to adhere to, and that makes your life easier, so that you're not having to come up with ideas kind of randomly. But yeah, I would follow and subscribe to competitors, and follow and subscribe to other businesses that maybe are not your competitors, but you kind of like their content. Like, see what they're doing, and the content that's interesting to you, and try it out with your audience.
Yeah, I think that transitions well into another question from Harry. Would a blog post be included as one of the topics in an email marketing campaign?
Well, yeah, like I said, definitely if you're creating a blog post, you should create an email too, because you've already done all that thinking and writing to create a full blog post. What I see a lot of people do, especially for leads, because you want to have this continued lead engagement, if you post a blog post, kind of tease out some of that blog content into an email where they can click to read more on your website and see the full blog. I would not try to replicate the content in an email, or definitely don't copy and paste. It's too much. No one's going to read it. But if you, just want to have a valuable touch point with your leads, you know, yeah, take that topic that you've put a ton of time into creating a long form piece of content for, and just tease out the top points and have them click through to read the full thing.
Hmm.
So yeah, I would say that's definitely a valuable touch point for email.
Yeah, we have one last one here from Paul. Paul is restarting the retail side of his business without a brick and mortar. He has an email base from his old POS, and plan to reach out to them. And oh, my thing's being covered. And thought about including a survey asking what they want in order to engage. Is there anything he should think about or be aware of on that?
Um, okay, so a survey, I guess this I think, well, I guess without having more context and understanding, I would say, like, keep your survey really short. That's what, and let people know that it is short. So if it's a 2-question survey, tell them, hey, it's a quick 2-question survey. to make sure that I, stock up on the products that are most valuable to you. Or if it's a 30-second survey, like make sure they know it's bite-sized. It's going to take them no time at all. So that people who are interested in wanting to see you grow, or they're interested in your products, like they're willing to invest that time. So any survey that you send, really simple. Ask your most important questions, because, I'm sure you have maybe 12 things you want to know about what they might want in an online retail experience, but what's the most important thing, or the two most important things? So keep your surveys really brief. And then, I think if you're entering new territory, like any positive feedback you get from early adopters, early purchasers, like try to, in their new customer onboarding, if you are asking a question like, how satisfied are you, like, ask for feedback. Heavily feature that positive feedback in your marketing. If you have permission to use a direct quote, please do that in an email. You can have a quote section that's kind of prominent that says, just a one sentence phrase from a happy customer that kind of reaffirms, oh, others are buying, others are doing this, and they're getting the desired result. So use customer feedback. And yeah, I don't know if that answered the full question, but those are my initial thoughts there.
Great. I think in the interest of time, we can keep things moving. There are some more questions, but we'll obviously come back to them later.
Okay, cool.
And as people have them, feel free to continue queuing them up in the chat, everyone.
Awesome. Yes. Okay, so this is if you're kind of wondering, like, why do I need a full stack of, email marketing strategy for leads, for customers, in order to get referrals. Hopefully this is motivating to you on the topic of, 7 to 10 touch points, or however many touch points it is now. Who knows, it might be 30. About half of new leads aren't ready to buy. When they subscribe to your email list, most are not ready to buy right then. They don't have the brand recognition, they don't trust you, they don't fully understand what you offer. That's okay. They're giving you their email address, so that's a sign in the right direction, but it's definitely not a sign that they're ready to buy. 63% eventually do if they're nurtured. So if you're wondering if it's worth it to create a whole, content strategy around those new email subscribers, it is. That's a huge opportunity, because they're already opting in to hear from you. They're kind of raising their hand saying, I'm here, I exist, I want you to know that I exist, I'm not ready to buy. Just know that they can get there. Many of them will get there, and they'll be ready to buy and purchase if you nurture them in a thoughtful way. Increasing customer retention by just 5% has been shown to increase profitability 25 to 95%. I know that's a huge range. I tried to find a better number, but I looked at multiple different sources based on, what type of business and, the time frame that they're talking about and the products that they sell. Let's just pretend it's on the low end of that, 25%. I mean, if any of us could increase profitability, not revenue, but profitability by 25%, that's huge. It's a huge difference for any business. So if you can increase customer retention by just 5%, that means, what do my customers need from me in order to stick around? When I was at Indeed, we had an entire department in marketing dedicated just to customer marketing, not new leads, not creating ads. What do our existing customers need from us so that they stick around? Because that's how valuable that audience is. So, really handle your customers with, with care. Really get to know them, and understand what they need from you. And of course, not every person who purchases from you is your ideal customer. Some people will drop off, and that's natural. It's just not the right fit, or whatever. They had one experience with you and it's fine, and they're going somewhere else. But for your ideal customer, where what you offer really does meet a real need for them, try to keep them around. Make sure that they feel a sense of, like, that you understand them, and that you're creating content and products and offerings specifically for them, because it can have a huge impact on your profitability. And 49% of consumers agree they've spent more after joining a loyalty program. I know for many of us, like small businesses, the thought of creating a loyalty program, and a full programmatic like loyalty number and all that, I mean, it's too much. It's too complex for most of us. But as a small business, you can speak to those loyal customers in a way where they recognize like, oh, okay, you really appreciate that I'm still here. You really know me. Give them a call. Honestly, apart from email marketing, if you're in touch with those loyal customers, writing a letter, giving them a call, visiting their business if you have local customers, and just saying, hey, want to introduce myself. So glad you've purchased from us multiple times. If you can make those repeat customers feel really, really valuable, they will feel loyal to you. And I've seen it firsthand. I was on a call just honestly a month ago where a customer, they were actually leaving because, so I'm employed full-time as well as the director of customer experience at a B2B software company in construction. And there was a customer that said, we hung around for a long time because we saw a lot of value at the beginning, and through other circumstances out of my control, they weren't happy, but they hung around for a couple years, continuing to pay for the service because their early interaction was so positive. And shame on the business for losing that customer. We've done a lot of digging into what went wrong, but people will stick around. They will feel loyal to you if they've received value and received a lot of like respect as repeat customers. Measuring success with email marketing. Your open rate, as many of you probably know, your open rate is a metric to look at. It's not always going to be accurate. A lot of email providers now will scan inboxes for their users just to scan for like spam and bad links and whatever. So there's some automatic scanning and even clicking behind the scenes that may skew your numbers. However, if you kind of benchmark against your own performance, then you can watch it as a trend metric. If you know that for when you email your leads, you have an average open rate of 11%, and then all of a sudden you send something out and it's 15%, like take note, like what did I do differently? Why did that content resonate? Because even if you're not sure that all 15% really actually opened your email, it's a difference from your typical trend of 11%. Same with customers. Say if your average, when you email your customers, you have an average of 25%, and then you send out an email that gets 40% open rate. That is important information. The actual open rate itself and click rate, not always completely accurate, but as a trend metric to watch, it is helpful. Actions taken, that's where I really want you to focus your attention. Like I said earlier, every email that you send should have a goal. What are you trying to achieve? Are you just trying to get someone to, click through to your website to read an informative blog? Are you trying to get them to watch a video? Are you trying to get them to, fill out a form or make a purchase? Whatever that primary goal is of the email, that's your true success metric. Opens and clicks are great information, right? Those are data points you can look at, but you're not in business to have people open your emails. You're in business to serve a population of people. So have a defined goal for every touch point outside of email marketing. Every touch point you have, like, know if it works or not. Because if you don't have a goal, then you don't know if it's working. Say you invest in a trade show, you want to, put up a booth at a trade show. If you're not clear on what you're trying to get out of that, then you don't really know if it was worth your time and energy and money to, exhibit at that trade show. So with everything that you do in marketing, have a goal. And sometimes it is just, downloading something or clicking on something on your website because they might not be ready to purchase, and you might know that. That these are new subscribers and they're not going to purchase today, and that's okay. But I do want them to learn more about my product, and so I'm going to, present a video, or I'm going to, have a resource for them so that they can start to understand what it's like to work with me. So define your goal for every email touch point and every marketing touch point in general. The more effective your email marketing is, the lower your customer acquisition cost becomes. So if you are really strategic and thoughtful with your email marketing, that means more of your email subscribers will turn into customers. And again, more of your customers will purchase from you again or become, loyal. So you can kind of see if you are moving people down the funnel toward conversion, whatever that looks like for your business, becoming a customer, exchanging money, and then you're really intentionally communicating with those customers. That means that every single new subscriber you get is even more valuable, and you're able to do more with your email list and create business opportunities for yourself from that email list. When it comes to getting email opt-ins from the start, right? How do you compel someone to opt into your email list if they're just, learning about your business, or they have, they've heard your ads a couple of times? How do you actually get them to say, all right, I'm going to give them my email address? There's a few things you can do. This is very specific to your type of business, so you'll have to gauge what feels right. What are people wanting from you? It might be a free trial or a free demo or an informational webinar. If your product is solving for a specific problem that not many other companies are doing, you could record a 5-minute video about, explaining what your company does and put that behind, a gate, meaning they have to give your email address in order to see that video. So if you're, that's kind of one way I've seen people go about it. Obviously, coupon codes or free shipping or bonus gift, those work really well. If someone's kind of interested and, you have some really awesome social content that shows your product like being, like solving the problem or used by other people, and someone's really compelled, sometimes free shipping can be the thing that makes them opt in. And it can be as simple as that. Industry insights can work as well if you kind of have a myth versus fact for your industry or product category. So I saw one person in the chat say that you offer like home energy audits. Like there's so many threads you can pull there in terms of like what are the insights that you have that your average customer doesn't know about. They're learning it from you. I mean, whatever you specialize in for lots of different businesses, you have a ton of knowledge that your customers don't have. You might take it for granted, but you can kind of pull a few threads and test things out, see what people are really interested in, or what is the question or the myth that you can dispel that people are really intrigued by. Again, put it behind an opt-in gate where they have to subscribe in order to see the full content of your perspective, like this myth or this topic that you have insight into. Exclusive email content or membership group, that might not apply to many of you, but I've seen it where in order to, again, like if you have some sort of insight, they have to subscribe in order to get it in their inbox. File downloads like an infographic or a template or a framework. If you have a template that people are kind of curious about, that can be enough to compel them to give you their email address. And then an on-demand course or tutorial or video or challenge even. So there are a lot of different ways to build an email list. You kind of have to just like test things out. Don't be afraid to try out different things and then see what's working. And I'm offering up my email address here. Like if you have any questions or you just want to like workshop some ideas or on anything that we've talked about before, you can shoot me an email and I'm happy to just kind of give you my thoughts. We can hop on the phone too. But marketing is there's a ton of data now. Thankfully for all of us, there's a lot of data we can gather from our marketing efforts, but there's also, you just got to try stuff. I've been doing marketing for 17 years and I still don't always know what subject line is going to work better. You just have to test it and learn. And the better you know your audience, the more opportunity you can create for yourself from your email list.
Yeah, that's very insightful information there. I think something that everyone trying to market their business could take heed from. We do have one question queued up in the chat from Charles, I think is a good one. When would you say the best time frame is for customers to receive marketing emails? If my
Hmm.
sales are happening Thursday through Sunday, should I be sending out the emails on Thursday to get my message in front of them right before the sales period, or should I be sending it out at the beginning of every week to give them more time to digest the message?
Okay, that's so interesting. Um, well, the first thing I want to say to everyone is that you should test things out. You'll be able to find plenty of things online that will say that Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. is the best. And that just depends on your business type and who your audience is. That might not always work. You should look at your own metrics and try out different days and times. However, Charles, for you specifically, if you know that your customers are making purchases from Thursday to Sunday, I would email them in that period where they're making a purchase. And I say that because although there are some touch points, some email marketing touch points that aren't directly associated with sales, like I've explained, sometimes you're just trying to build trust or share information so that they're continuing to interact with you. But if you're sending an email where you want people to purchase, send it when you know they're purchasing. Because this is an awesome insight that you already know when your customers do tend to purchase. Send that email when they're in that frame of mind where they could potentially purchase from you. Because unless you have a really compelling, cool thing to share on a Monday, they if they're not and like no one is reading email just to read email, right? I mean, unfortunately for me as an email marketer, like no one's scrolling their inbox the way that they're scrolling TikTok. They're not investing time there. So just know that, like, even your most loyal customers, if you send an email that's kind of like not relevant to them or not timely, they're probably not going to open it, even if they like you a lot, because, we're all busy.
Yeah, I'd say there's about one store I subscribe to a newsletter from that I'm always very excited to get the newsletter from.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I agree there.
Yeah.
Um, Harry has another question. Do you have any tips on what to include, what to include in, for example, the 5 email series of a campaign in order to make it feel organized or build towards a sale?
Um, yeah, so so for new leads, the first email I would suggest being like your story. But the big asterisk there is that no one really cares about your story for the sake of it, other than your mom. Tell your story in a way that helps your customer feel connected to you in a way that you're connecting to the need that you solve for them or the problem that you solve. So tell your story in a way where it's like it's going to connect with your best customers, and you might have to try out a little bit there. Like, what does that sound like? Keep it brief, but you can share a little bit more about your story and just a thank you. Like, so glad you're here. I've been in business for 21 years, and I help customers just like you. This is why I'm in business and why it's important to me, blah, blah, blah. So make it really customer focused while you share why they should care. So that would be touch point one. And then, the next touch point I would suggest, again, to keep it really customer focused, whatever the primary problem or thing that your customers get from you, whether that's a benefit or value or a problem being solved, really hit hard on that in that second email. Again, it might not apply to everyone, but for your best customers, it'll probably resonate. So, what is the problem you solve or the value that do you deliver? If you have stats, that's amazing. Like if you're like, okay, 68% of my customers tell me that they really love this about working with me or whatever. So really hit hard on that big benefit. The third touch point, you could kind of continue in that theme and maybe present a customer quote, or if you have a video of a customer, so any kind of like social proof that others like you have purchased from me and they're happy. So continue to make that connection. And so that's, 3 touch points. The fourth, maybe you address some common objections or questions that you get. Anything that people hesitate on, like, oh, I don't know, I've heard this about this type of product or whatever, like address that up front. Be like, hey, most people think this, that's actually not true, and here's why. Or any questions, answer common questions. And then that fifth touch point, it would be a direct ask of like, click here to purchase, or give me a call today so we can get you started. That is what I would suggest for a five email touch point. And then, it's on you to really test out, test subject lines, test format, test if a video works better than image or whatever. And again, I know most emails don't support videos in an email. I kind of mean like a thumbnail, like an image of a video thumbnail where you're linking out somewhere else. But anyways, test what's working, what's resonating, and become the expert on what your audience needs, and that will make you so powerful as a marketer.
Absolutely. We have one more from Melissa. Wondering how often do you think you should send emails? Weekly or monthly? How often would you say is comfortable?
Okay, so for a new subscriber, you want to email right away. So once they subscribe, it should be, within 5 minutes they receive that first email. 5 minutes would be max. Hopefully your email program will send them an automatic email like, hey, Sarah, so glad you're here. And then jump right into that first touch point because they are in that present mind of like, they're on your website or wherever seeing your brand, and then you send an email. Like that also helps your email reputation. We haven't talked about that here, but if people are opening and interacting with your emails, that sends messages to, Google and the likes that you are a reputable sender. So that first email should be sent right away. As far as, say you're talking about a new lead nurture 5 touch series, some people might email every day, 5 emails in a row. That might be too much. Watch your unsubscribe rates. You could do every 2 or 3 days for that first series. I think every 2 or 3 days probably feels right for that initial kind of nurture. And then if at the end they haven't taken that action to become a customer, totally okay. But I would then pull back a little bit. Weekly feels fine. Every 2 weeks feels fine. But what I want to say too, I've talked to people that get really overwhelmed with how much content they have to create because it's a ton of work. So if monthly is what you can commit to right now, monthly is okay. You don't want to say you're going to email your audience weekly and then have it be so stressful or such a time suck that you end up stopping altogether. So if you can only commit to monthly, you have my permission to email monthly. Ideally, I think maybe every 2 weeks would be better than monthly, but it is what it is. You're one person and you might not have a marketer on your team. So just try to do at least monthly. And then if someone has subscribed and then within, I don't know what it is, 12 months, 18 months, you decide, they're not opening your emails anymore and they've never purchased, you can delete them. You don't need that weight hanging around, or not delete them. You can just kind of move them to another list of like, those are names that aren't interacting with me. Maybe I'll try again in a couple months, but like you want to keep your email list hopefully kind of fresh because you don't need, if someone hasn't interacted with you in 12 months and they've never purchased, it's okay to let them go and focus on the people who are interacting.
Yeah, I think that's great advice for business in general. Do what
Yeah.
you're comfortable with, and
Yeah.
don't engage those who aren't engaged.
Yeah.
We got one more from Harry as we wrap things up here today. I think a great one as well on topic. What happens if your email campaign ends and no action has been taken? Would you say to add more emails to your campaign?
Um, well, um, I would say what can you see? Look at your email campaign and see what did people click on? even if you don't have a ton of interaction, is there anything that was more engaging than something else? Learn from that. And so if you've sent 5 emails and there was almost no clicks and no purchases, but one specific email had a bump in clicks, like learn from that, do a little bit more of that and see if that's was an anomaly or something that you can say to be true about your audience. So and then, those regular touch points, just accept not, most people aren't paying attention, not because they don't like you, but because they're busy. Think of every email touch point as an opportunity. They might not have been ready to purchase when they first heard about you, but they might be ready to purchase now. So just think of emails as opportunities for your ideal customers to remember you and interact with you and purchase from you. And just kind of come at it with humility, like, I don't know what's going to work, but I'm going to try a lot of things. And I think if you persistently try a lot of things, that you will learn some things and you'll be able to market more effectively.
Nice. Well, with that, I want to thank everyone for attending today. Always a great presentation on a valuable topic, Laura. We appreciate you presenting and we appreciate you all attending. One
Yeah,
more
thank you
time, if
all.
of course. And one more time, if you didn't know about SCORE before, we are a free business mentoring program with workshops spreading a variety of topics and mentors available for one-on-one counseling. If you don't already have a mentor, you can sign up for one for free at score.org and enter your zip code, and you'll be matched hopefully within a business day or two. Other than that, we want to thank our sponsor today, the Maine Technology Institute. And I want to thank Laura one more time for putting on a great presentation.
Yeah, thank you all for coming.
Thank you. Hope everyone has a great rest of your day.
Thanks. Bye.